where people get you, people will understand that it's not just a book, it's your childhood and it's music, so join the band.
Harry Potter. If you haven't been living under a rock for the last 2 decades, you've probably heard the name before. For those of you who have been living under a rock for the last 2 decades, the Harry Potter novels are a 7-book best-selling series about a boy wizard who, through the power of love, friendship, and community, defeats the most evil wizard of all time. But it's also so much more than that. Over the past 2 decades, these books have taught millions of people a value set that creates a uniquely loving and accepting community. According to a survey taken by the Harry Potter Alliance, a leading organization within that community, a whole 8% of their membership identify as transgender or gender nonconforming. I set out to discover how this number came to be. After all, it's very large in comparison to the US statistic, which is approximately 0.58% of adults, according to a 2016 study. My first stop was the Harry Potter Alliance's social media, because that's where this amazing statistic originated. On their Facebook page, I found a link to a study which proves that reading Harry Potter has a measurable positive impact on people's attitudes towards stigmatized groups. After that encouragement, I decided to speak with some members of the community.
My name is TK Lawrence. I use he, him pronouns, and I am gender fluid, non-binary.
I'm Madison, and I'm a non-binary transmasculine person who uses they, them pronouns.
My name's Endeavor. I'm 31 and I'm trans. I go by they and them.
My name is Lou. I use he, him, his pronouns, and I'm a transgender male.
My name is Mel. I use she or they pronouns, and I consider myself to be non-binary.
I started out by asking what made them love the books and community as much as they did.
The morals that you kind of learn through the books, all the hardships and things that the characters go through. Remus Lupin, was struggling with being a werewolf, and then we can compare that to people who have AIDS in the real world today.
It's a story about love and a story about friendship. And me and many, many other people grew up with this series, and it taught us all the best values we have.
The activism, there's music, and just general creativity, passion, and tenacity. The fact that the community is still around, as well as just internal to the series, that message of love and friendship.
Everyone in the community is just extremely passionate and friendly, and it's so easy to get along with everyone.
The friendship and camaraderie is what was most appealing for me about the Harry Potter community. A lot of people say this, but I have met some of my best lifelong friends through this series of books and everything that has come out of it since then.
Once I had established that it was feelings of love, friendship, and a shared passion for the world that had been built, which brought people together, it was time to move on to the gender questions. I started by asking what made them feel comfortable coming out in this community.
At the Granger Leadership Academy in 2016, we had Jackson Bird as a keynote speaker, and his keynote was about coming out as a transgender man. I actually came out to the Harry Potter community basically right after his keynote.
The Harry Potter fan community is the first place I was out as trans in, and it's kind of also the place that gave me the resources to realize I was trans. There are a good amount of out transgender people in this community, and having those role models and just having friends who were feeling the same thing I was feeling and validated it and let me know that it was okay led me to feel comfortable being out and exploring myself in these really safe places, and I'm very, very grateful for that.
Particularly in my chapter, from the first meeting, I felt that no matter what, I would be accepted, especially because of the other people there who use different pronouns, and they felt comfortable, so I knew that I would be comfortable there as well.
My next question was how they felt since then.
I felt very accepted and welcomed right away. I didn't feel like I was being judged or questioned or anything like that, so it was really nice. And since then, I felt very safe doing that. Everyone's really open. I haven't had any backlash or anything like that.
I've felt completely accepted, and I've never had any reason to feel uncomfortable with myself.
I think that the more of us that are trans and genderqueer that are out in the fan community, the more positive the space becomes.
My friends in the community are some of the first ones that I told, and it has been nothing but support and love since then.
I asked for their thoughts on the relationship of the community and its trans and gender nonconforming membership. The general consensus was positive.
I think overall that relationship is really positive. Definitely cis people in the community can still kind of forget that we exist sometimes, but not as often as in the rest of the world in my experience.
From what I've experienced, the Harry Potter community has been overwhelmingly supportive and accommodating to its gender nonconforming members.
From my personal experience, it's been very positive. Everyone is welcoming and accepting, and continued efforts such as the Protego campaign by the Harry Potter Alliance shows a great amount of solidarity with the community.
Finally, I asked them to compare their experiences being out in different communities. Many people gave very valuable answers, but I felt that Mel's response summed it up perfectly.
While I'm out to my friends and they're all very supportive, it's also a very different kind of support. When I explain my sexuality, it seems like a more common aspect. The response is, "Oh, that's cool," and then you move on. Whereas with gender identity, while it's still positive, there's a bit more of discomfort surrounding it. And it just makes it seem like it's a bit more unusual of a thing, rather than in the Harry Potter community, I feel like it's just taken as another fact of your existence.
Here is why this is significant. Historically and even currently, spaces that were created solely for promoting equality and inclusion have failed at doing what the Harry Potter community has done. For example, Emi Koyama writes about the 1992 Michigan Women's Festival, which was a space designed specifically for the inclusion of women. But the festival failed spectacularly at actually including women because they refused to allow any transgender women to attend. Ricky Ann Wilkins writes about her experience with feminist activism in which she was excluded from her own narrative. She describes a setting which was built for the empowerment of women, but from which only very specific women were allowed to benefit. In both of these spaces, equality was the goal. And yet, in both of these spaces, transgender people were explicitly excluded. Sadly, these two situations are fairly representative of many areas of feminism, although that has been lessening over time. But this throws into great relief just how important what's happening in the Harry Potter community is. This community is truly a safe space for everyone. Members of the community go out of their way to actively make sure that community spaces are safe for everyone and inclusive. The Harry Potter Alliance brings write-in pronoun stickers to every event they go to. And specific anecdotes like TKs are spread throughout the community. I asked at the beginning why the Harry Potter fan community is such a successful, safe space for its trans and gender nonconforming members. The answers which I've found is that it's the values the series infused into the community, values of love, friendship, and acceptance. These values have shaped the community into a space where trans and gender nonconforming people can be unapologetically and even unthinkingly themselves. But is this phenomenon truly unique to Harry Potter? Here's a hint. I don't think so.